The views expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of WPSL. However, we do encourage you to like and share them on Facebook. And of course, the Sue Ellen Sanders Show also has her own channel on WPSL TV. We've got to mention that once in a while. Go to YouTube, WPSL TV, and click on the Sue Ellen Sanders channel there. And now, it's the Sue Ellen Sanders Show. Here's Sue Ellen Sanders.
So you're saying, Cliff, if somebody wants to look up an old show, all they have to do is go to YouTube and look at up WPSL TV.
That's right.
And so WPSL TV has the YouTube channel, and you can look at all the past shows from not just my show, of course, some of the other talk show hosts as well.
They all have their own channel, and so do you.
Yes.
In fact, if you click into, say, the latest Sue Ellen Sanders show on YouTube, after it's done, the next one or the one before that comes up, and then the one before that. They'll play one. You could binge watch the Sue Ellen Sanders show.
Sue Ellen Sanders all the time.
Binge watch.
Just in case you have trouble sleeping at night.
Hey.
No, we've got some exciting shows that have come and gone, and we have an exciting show today too. If you or any of your loved ones have ever been a brownie or a brownie Girl Scout or a Girl Scout, you probably are familiar with some of the stuff we'll be talking about today. Kristin Skarie is here with us today, and she is the coordinator. What's your official title, Kristin?
Membership manager.
Membership manager. Yes. Of the Girl Scouts of Southeast Florida. And that covers a pretty wide area. But I've seen a lot of Kristin lately, so you spend a lot of time here on the Treasure Coast.
There are 9 of us on our membership team, and so I am fortunate to be in Okeechobee, Indian River, St. Lucie County. So it's kind of my territory, and I get to meet great people, great girls.
We're fortunate to have you, too. So, one of the things that we'll be talking about today is we'll be talking about, how to become a Girl Scout or how to become a brownie, and also the different levels if you don't know all the different levels. But we'll talk a little bit too about the community and what the Girl Scouts give back to the community. So I have 2 young ladies with me today, and they're Samantha, who is from Lake Worth, who is here. Samantha, you're 16?
No, I am 15 years old.
She's 15. And Elena, who is a Lincoln Park Academy junior?
Sophomore.
Sophomore. Oh, my goodness. You guys are so mature. I just assume that you're older than you are. Of course, that's why both of you have your moms chauffeuring you. So that's great that you were both able to join us today, because there's nothing like hearing about Girl Scouts from the Girl Scouts themselves. I know, Kristin, it's your job and you're really good at it, but these young ladies, they're like the face of tomorrow. So let's talk a little bit. Let's start actually with Kristin and talk about the scope of the area that the Girl Scouts of Southeast Florida cover.
Great, yes. Well, thank you for having us. It's exciting to be here. So the Girl Scouts of Southeast Florida is a couple of different things. So in terms of what we promote is related to what Girl Scouts of the United States of America does. So we work to build girls with confidence, courage, and character who want to make the world a better place, and give them opportunities to really follow their dreams, follow their passions, and find their niche, an area of contribution, so that they are certainly learning things for themselves, but also kind of to what end. So you might learn something great. How do you then apply that to your friendship circle or your school or your community? So we get to play a role in that. I consider it a privilege to work for the Girl Scouts full time. And so 9 of us on this team, and then the rest of the Girl Scouts of Southeast Florida council team, which it runs from Broward County all the way up to Indian River County, 6 counties, 22 service units, which are the groups of the troop leaders and the girls. So we kind of cluster around those areas and just help the girls do what they want to do. So one of the unique features about Girl Scouts is it's girl-led, girl decision-making, and I'm looking at the girls right now who are not because
and
Everything
we'll,
is so true.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you'll
we'll
hear
get
from
into
them, but that, I
yes.
think that is one of the premier, I guess, features of Girl Scouts, that although there are troop leaders and adults around always, when needed and at certain times where adults are required to be there, but the power of what girls get to do for themselves and with each other, and the sisterhood that comes from that. So
And
it's
that's
exciting
important.
to watch and to witness.
And the age range we're talking about begins in kindergarten
Yes.
and goes all the way through what?
You're a senior in high school.
Senior in high
Yes.
school.
But it doesn't stop there. People can always come back, become troop leaders. We're always in need to help girls have a better experience.
That's awesome. And it's kind of a way of life.
Exactly.
So, well, let's talk a little bit to Samantha and Elena about when you started with the Girl Scouts and the type of lessons that you've learned, and what's your favorite part?
So I started when I was 5 years old. My
Oh,
mom.
my goodness.
Yes. So this is my 10th year in Girl Scouts. It's been a long run, but every minute has been worth it.
Yeah.
And I started when I was 5 years old. My mom was in Girl Scouts when she was younger, and it was just kind of a thing that we wanted to keep on doing. My mom's actually my troop leader, and my sister's also in Girl Scouts. So it's a whole family ordeal. We all do it together and build relationships. Girl Scouts is something that I think I would not be the person I am today without it. It's taught me lessons that I probably wouldn't have learned in school, definitely not, and given me so many opportunities to discover my passion and be able to interact with parts of the community that I normally wouldn't have, and interact and meet so many new people.
Well, and before we go further, just to let you all know what I shared with Kristin when she first contacted me, because she was looking at seeing if the Girl Scouts could partner with the Early Learning Coalition because they're great community partners. And I told her the story about my daughter's years as a Brownie Girl Scout and how those children, those young girls who were together from kindergarten through 5th grade, are still friends with each other, not really good friends, but friendly. And out of that troop of girls, there is one going to med school, one just graduated law school, 2 with a grad degree, 3 nurses. I mean, they are making a major difference in the community. And like I said, not only did the girls stay friends, but the moms stayed friends. And that's another advantage, I think for a cohesiveness within the family is that you have these fun things that you do together as a family, and that your troop parents become a family as well.
Exactly.
So-
So true. Because I met my best friend through Girl Scouts, and we're best friends to this day. And building those connections to the activities that you do, the lessons you learn, it's a connection you really don't get anywhere else. Because you go through so much and you learn so much together that it's a lifelong relationship.
And Samantha, both you and Elena are 15-year-old Girl Scouts, or 16.
I'm 16.
16, 15 and 16. So you all have, you're on the older side of the Girl Scouts, but what I found is even though our Brownie troop only stayed together till 5th grade, the girls, the friendships, and the lessons learned stayed together way after that. Elena, when did you first start Girl Scouts?
I started when I was 5 years old
So
as well.
you did too.
I started because I grew up in a scouting family too. My brother was a Cub Scout. When he was a Cub Scout, I was there along the whole entire time. So I became into Girl Scouts too.
Yeah, it was something that was important
Yes.
to you too. And
Yes.
let's talk a little bit about, from 5 years old, you probably don't remember 10, 11 years ago, what your first impressions were when you first got there. But whatever you do remember, did Girl Scouts change you? Were you quiet and shy and became more outgoing or more confident?
Yeah, I definitely saw not just me, but also the girls that I was in a troop with totally open up. Because, a lot of people will go into a troop with people that they don't know, young girls that they've never met before, and they really make a connection that, it takes time to get used to, but they break out of their shell, and through doing these fun activities and learning lessons about, becoming a confident girl and today in today's world and being able to talk to other people, it's something that Girl Scouts teaches that you really get to grow through the program.
Do you still earn badges?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, so there's lots of different badges. You can see them on our vests here, but you have your brochure patches that you learn different lifelong skills, and then you have your back of the vest patches that are more for activities that you do. So there's fun patches and the brochure patches.
What are some of the things that stand out in your mind? Were there like special trips? I mean, obviously, the thing that brings you all together in January is the cookie sales.
Yes.
It wouldn't be a radio talk show about the Girl Scouts unless you mention the cookies.
Absolutely.
So you all have had 10 years of selling cookies.
Yes, and 10 years of eating cookies too. I can tell you that much. Girl Scout cookie sale is probably my favorite part of being a Girl Scout. Being able to learn to stand outside of local stores and talk to everybody that you see that comes by, and you're also normally there with another Girl Scout in your troop, so you're also building a bond there, and standing outside and being able to sell those cookies and get the proceeds. You set goals at the beginning. There's goal setting. You decide what you want to do with the money with your troop, and my troop always goes on an end of the year trip to celebrate everything that we've accomplished during that year. But we also take some of the proceeds and buy cookies and donate them to a local nonprofit or different organization so we can give back what we do to another organization.
Elena, the troop you belong to, the Girl Scout leader, is an old and close friend of mine.
She's amazing.
Kathy
yes.
Post. And actually, I've spoken to your group before talking about women in communication. And they're a group that has been together through a lot of different changes in scouting, including different flavors of Girl Scout cookies, different prices of Girl Scout cookies, and different motivations of what the Girl Scouts are learning. Because in the 10 years that have passed since you guys have been a part of it, and in the 20 years since my daughter first started, women are expected to do a lot more, and little girls learn a lot more. I mean, it used to be, and you both are multi-generational Girl Scouts, and we were too. And when I was a brownie, Kristin, were you also a brownie?
I was.
Okay, so she and I can kind of talk to like the old days of brownie. Honestly, there were a lot of kind of girly activities that there was adventure and there was outdoor activities too, but you also we did a fair amount of crafts. And then in my daughter's years as a brownie, I saw her lean more toward things that boys and girls both do and enjoy. And now I know, from, visiting with Kathy Post's troop, there's a lot of the, you talked about the confidence building. It's not accidental. It's deliberate. There's speakers that come in. You do things like tour radio stations, go to places that are going to make a difference in, discover new careers. And let's talk a little bit about that, about some of the things that you all do now as a troop and that you've done over the years. We're looking at 10 years of meetings. How often do you meet?
Yeah, so it all changes year to year, and as girls get busier, we meet a few times a month to do our patches and get game plans. I know that I've seen as we've grown up, my troop and I have taken more of the lead. You pick the patches, you pick the route that you want to take, and pave your own path, because that's all about what Girl Scouts is about. You're learning leadership and you're learning all those things. But I know that you said that a lot of crafts when you were younger, and there is still crafts. There's all those things that what people think of Girl Scouts, but it has opened to be so much more. I mean, there's outdoor activities, STEM, STEAM, the science aspect of it. As our world is evolving, so is Girl Scouts and all the lessons that they teach the girls.
So let's start with you, Elena. Tell me a little bit about some of the things that you have done over the last 10 years that just really have either been something that were just your cup of tea or something that you didn't expect that you would enjoy that you turned out enjoying.
I think when I started when I was younger, I was more in it for like the fun, and like we did a lot of fun activities because we were younger, so we did like crafts and stuff. And then as I got older, we started getting more into the like learning aspect of it. And I think it's been cool because we've gotten to see other women that have achieved stuff in life, and they've come and talked to us about their experiences, and I've taken those experiences and put them into my life. So.
And Samantha, what were some of the things that you did, the activities along the way? You were talking a little bit about field trips, and I know the field trip that stands out in my mind was the first overnight that these little brownies took, and they were maybe 7 and 8, and they did an overnight at the Brevard Zoo. And I don't know if either of you have ever done an overnight at the Brevard Zoo.
I did one at the Palm Beach Zoo, not the Brevard Zoo, but definitely.
So it was a nighttime activity, and so the zoo was already closed, and they toured everybody at night, which was really very cool. But then everyone had sleeping bags, and they slept in the one room. But and I don't know if they still do it this way. It was where the nocturnal animals slept in cages. So they were like, the snakes and there were, oh gosh, I don't know, but I remember them being nocturnal because when the lights went out, they started making noise. And the people who had planned ahead, the Girl Scout moms and the Brownie kids, had earplugs, but the people who didn't were laying awake all night listening to the nocturnal animals. But it was definitely fun. It was exciting. It stands out in my mind. How cool is it that the Brevard Zoo has this opportunity where just your group is out there touring the zoo? And what was it like when you toured the Palm Beach Zoo?
Yeah, so my troop and we did the Palm Beach Zoo, and during the day they take you out and you get to go through all the exhibits and see behind the scenes where the zookeepers go and get to see all the things that people when they come to the zoo don't normally see. And then at night we didn't sleep with the animals, but we did sleep in like this separate room. And in the morning we got to come see the animals, we got to build stuff for the animals. It's pretty awesome. But talking about sleeping with the animals, we did go on a few end of the year trips. We did one to SeaWorld and to Busch Gardens, and in that we slept right next to the animals, and I know the animals were up all night long.
But it's exciting and it's cool, and it's certainly something you're never going to experience unless you're part of this, the whole Girl Scout experience. Another one of the favorite field trips was when Fort Lauderdale Children's Science Museum, is that what it's called, when it first opened. And we went down there and we did an overnight there, but by then we knew the drill, at least for the parents, to bring earplugs. But there were all sorts of activities, and the girls were allowed to continue to play with all of the different hands-on activities until like 10, 11 o'clock at night, which again is something special. And you feel like, Elena, you pointed out that the Girl Scout cookie money is something that the troop raises, but then you get to decide what you're going to do with it, or if you're going to do these field trips and you vote on it. And so Samantha, you said that you went to the zoo. So yes. 10 years of Girl Scout cookies, 10 years of trips. What are some of the other trips either one of you has taken?
Yes. Oh, you can go first.
I remember when I was younger, we stayed overnight at the Nickelodeon Hotel, and we got to stay in the water park, and it was a bunch of other Girl Scouts too.
So it was a big scout thing. Yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, so I said Busch Gardens, SeaWorld, and one of our favorites that we did, I think we did it 2 years, was going to Discovery Cove. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
Oh,
but
yeah.
So it's pretty awesome. We all stay together, and it's super big bonding experience, but we get to go and swim with the dolphins, swim with these stingrays and fish. I mean, it's something that's open to the public, but being able to do it with your other fellow Girl Scouts builds a bond, because not every day do you get to go swim with wild animals.
Yeah, with your buddies.
Exactly.
And, as far as lessons learned, you said, and Samantha, I guess I didn't understand this. I know that when my daughter was in elementary school, the meetings were like once a week. I think they were once a week. Is that normal? Am I remembering correctly?
Yes.
So it's like every
Depends on the
Wednesday.
troop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it depends.
Every other week, some troops do, some do once a month, but for the most part, every week.
And it depends also on the age of the girls, because obviously when you're in kindergarten,
You have 5 years old.
much less busy schedule than us that are in high school.
Exactly.
We've experienced that a lot in our troop.
Yeah.
A lot of girls are in high school now, so it's harder to get together, but when we do, it's a lot of fun.
Well, and that's honestly why when my daughter hit middle school, that she's, and the troop ended up disbanding because they were a lot of them were doing sports, and they were after school sports, and they weren't able to fit it in. But there was a time that I stood in as an assistant troop leader too, and coming up with different activities to do, and but they were very young, so it was easier to come up with things. And it's kind of funny because now here I am, very many years later, and I belong to a craft circle, and so it's kind of like you all, as Girl Scouts, as Brownie Girl Scouts, you start out on one side of the spectrum with the crafts, and here we are, adults that are, a little bit more mature, and we're back to getting together once a month and doing crafts. So it's kind of like, and it's very therapeutic to do something, to work with your hands, whether it's woodworking or, whatever you're doing. So along the lines of that, of talking about meetings themselves, what are some of the activities? Now, Elena, I know that Kathy Post has brought a bunch of women to you to talk about careers and such. What are some of the other things that you've done in the last couple of years as a troop?
We do a lot of volunteering. So we've volunteered at Sarah's Kitchen. We do beach cleanups. We've done the ladybug release. So we do a lot of things like volunteering. That's a big part of our troop.
And what is, I know the answer to this, but I'm just asking you. What is the point of volunteering?
It helps with high school for hours, but also it's the fact that you get to help someone out in the community, and it makes a big impact on a lot of people.
Samantha?
Yeah, I think it's impacting to not only the community, but also to yourself. It's really eye-opening being able to participate and volunteer in so many different aspects of the world. And I know I've done things from food kitchens to beach cleanups and volunteering to set packages together to send overseas to the military, which we do put cookies in there.
Yeah, and that's, I'm glad you mentioned it, the whole cookies to the military thing, because that is kind of newish as compared to, 10 or 20 years ago. So the Girl Scouts, understanding that they have a gold mine with those cookies, that everybody wants those cookies, that people in January go off their diets because of these cookies, or they work extra hard and go to the gym because of the cookies. So you have expanded, and Kristin, I'm going to ask you to join in with us. You've expanded the ways that you share your cookies.
Definitely, and I think there's an event as well that we partner with Duffy's up and down our whole council, so from Indian River to Broward, and it's called Give a Box, Get a Box, and so people can purchase a box, but then the other box automatically goes to the military. So it's a systematic, process, and the military appreciate getting the cookies because it is so much part of life in the United States, and it's sort of part of the culture in some ways. Almost everyone I meet has heard of Girl Scouts, knows about Girl Scouts. Many were Girl Scouts. There are 50 million women out there who were part of Girl Scouts in their past, and so the cookies is sort of
50 million?
50 million.
Wow.
Yeah, so the cookies
That's
is
a really big number.
Piece over decades of time, generations, and it's familiar, so it feels homey and home-like. So when someone who isn't at their home, and especially in the military and serving for us, that it's a piece of home.
Yes.
So
it's really
it's really more than just the cookies you're sending. You're sending that piece of home.
Yeah, we've had people come up to our booths that come to buy cookies, and they tell us stories about how they were overseas and received those cookies. And the stories that you hear, they'll say, you're missing your home, but you get that box of cookies, and it reminds you of those days of sitting at home eating Thin Mints. It's not just a box of cookies; it's so much more.
Elena, over the years, not only has the delivery of the cookies changed, but the flavors of the cookies have changed. So you feel comfortable with talking a little bit to that?
I remember when I first started, there was this one cookie that I really loved. It was the berry cookie, and then they got rid of that and they brought the lemon in. So yes, we have had a lot of different flavors, and we've gotten the s'mores and the gluten-free cookie.
So you kind of changed with the society and what the needs are, and there was probably a time where there wasn't even a calorie count on the box of cookies.
Those were better days.
No.
I memorized the calories for all my customers.
Well
Yeah,
done.
so they know. And you know what? Can I just say the Thin Mints are not as fattening as you think they might be.
It says
They're-
thin in the name.
no, they're only like 40, I think 40
140?
calories per cookie. Well, because the 140 is per serving.
And you get 5 cookies in a serving.
Yeah. So really, if you're somebody who could just eat one or two,
I always recommend the trefoils because you get more and it's lower calories.
So what are the trefoils?
It's a shortbread cookie.
Okay.
It's like the original cookie that.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm familiar with them. I just didn't remember their name. My favorite are the ones in the purple box that have coconut and Samoas. Yeah. The other thing that's kind of neat about the cookies themselves is how they've broadened their scope of, the ice cream. Is it Breyers that has all the Girl Scout cookies in ice cream? In ice cream.
Yes.
What a great
They have it
idea.
in coffee too.
They
Dunkin'
do.
Donuts.
Yeah.
Over the years, I've noticed that a lot of companies are starting to sell like the flavored cookies, and I noticed there's even a TV show now about Girl Scout cookies.
There is. Tell
It's
me
a
about
cooking
that.
show.
So it's a cooking show where
Yeah.
they use Girl Scout cookies?
Yes.
So using Girl Scout cookies in the recipes.
It's a whole Girl Scout cookie baking competition.
They
It's pretty
pick-
awesome.
Yeah, they pick like one flavor cookie, and then they like create this recipe with that one flavor.
What kind of recipes do they do?
I've seen like a s'mores cake to like a lemon cookie. Yeah.
You know what? the other thing that we're recording this show and we're talking about it now, and Girl Scout cookie season is over, which is kind of sad because people are going to listen to this show and they're going to say, I wish I'd bought more cookies and froze them.
And there are still cookies out there. So
Yeah.
Okay.
you can just keep an eye
Yes.
out. Sometimes people will share that they still have some left. They don't do booths anymore.
yes.
Right.
Out there, but you
But
can
there
still
may
get-
still be some that are, because of
Yes.
course that's the challenge with the whole cookie sale, at least from what I remember, is you kind of have to predict a little bit, not only how many boxes you're going to sell, but which flavors are going to be popular.
Yes.
So here, just with the cookie sale alone, you're talking about, math and psychology and
Exactly. Yeah, there's 5 essential skills that we always say for Girl
Okay.
Scouts. There's goal setting. So before you go, like, each girl and the troop as a whole all decide their goal. And it also takes into account what you want to do with the money and the proceeds that you get from the cookie sale. Then there's also decision making. So that's kind of that too, making
Yeah.
the decisions. Business ethics, because Girl Scouts, one of the
They
girl-led-
take cash.
the largest girl-led business in the world. So
Yes.
it's big.
yeah.
Be trustworthy.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
People skills, because like I said earlier, you're standing outside and you're talking to people and making connections with your customers, whether it's going door to door or standing outside of your local booth. So
And, being a Girl Scout looks good on your college application. I mean, you guys are starting to look at, where you're going to go in a couple of years, or you may already be doing some dual enrollment classes. And you got to be looking at, people, it's like the Good Housekeeping seal of approval for teenage girls. is they were a Girl Scout, because you know if they were not very well behaved, then they wouldn't have stuck with scouting. So
Exactly.
girl or Boy Scout.
Exactly. And I think that it's not even just putting Girl Scouts on your resume, but the characteristics of yourself that builds up over the years from being a Girl Scout, that's also something that you put on there, and it makes you kind of more well-rounded when it comes to clubs and stuff. So, like, for example, I've grown to love leadership, so I've taken part in clubs like honor societies and different community service clubs that I probably wouldn't have joined had I not been in Girl Scouts and been exposed to that kind of stuff at an early age.
Because you knew you could do it.
Exactly.
So, you know, more than just, you know, your college application, we're talking down the road about your resume too. So when you look to get a job, these are the skills that people are looking to hire. That ability to make decisions, the ability to put ideas together, the leadership roles to speak, to communicate, and to work well with others. There's probably no single skill that employees, I think, are looking for than the ability to work well with others.
Exactly.
So let's talk about how those skills have, you know, impacted your life, how it's changed your life to be able to do that. Elena, you want to give me, you know, a for instance over the last few years?
I think when I was younger, I was very shy. So when I joined Girl Scouts, it taught me the ability to talk to people, especially when it came to selling cookies. So I think as I got older, I learned how to talk to people and to get my point across and to be able to sell cookies to people without coming off rude.
Because you can't really sell Girl Scout cookies without communicating. Because
Exactly.
you
It's a
don't.
big
Although sometimes when you got that table and it's filled with Girl Scout cookies, you're almost just like handing them to
Sometimes
them.
I don't even have to talk. They just come to me, give me the money, and take the cookies.
Exactly.
So you know, some of the big takeaways here is the importance of Girl Scouts, and you know how the scouting can change and make your life better as a scout. But let's talk about a little bit, and Kristin, if you want to join in here too, some of the ways that Girl Scouts can help make the community better.
I think Girl Scouts becomes this go-to group of sort of a trusted, known entity with deep history, great traditions, roots of certainly entrepreneurship, but leadership, and an example of, I think, how girls, young women, can be in a really complicated world. So in the really big picture, if this were my Miss America speech, I think I would always point to that. There's this bigger purpose. So I think in the community, I've yet to meet anyone who has not heard of Girl Scouts.
No, yeah, that's
and almost always positive. And anything that wasn't positive was because they weren't quite sure, or they had a concern about Thin Mints or something that was very doable and you know, easily fixed. But there's so much positivity around it, so that I think it allows girls to also walk into an organization so that's safe, that's not safe in terms of not trying new things, but safe, comfortable, you can be yourself. That I think it's also a skill to know yourself well, but also let everyone else around you be their best selves, so that you being your best self doesn't get in the way of someone else being their best self. And I think there's that doesn't have to be a soft skill at all. I don't really like the word soft skill. Those to me are core skills that I think the world can use more of. So when I'm witnessing Girl Scouts doing their thing and being with each other and serving the community, it's awe-inspiring in terms of knowing that those skills will be tapped for the rest of your lives.
And when you're talking about that too, and you're talking about the skills and being able to see them in the community, you're also talking about, you know, as a group, the green of the Girl Scout uniform, you know, or the brown of the Brownie uniform, that kind of has a connotation that's a very positive connotation. You feel like that person is trustworthy and cares and has those leadership skills and is good in the community, and it's almost like you have a costume or a shield or a Superman cape on.
Yeah, I like that last one. It's like
Yeah.
a cape. It gives you powers. Being a Girl Scout is something that I feel lucky enough to be a part of. Like, it's not something that I just say is a part. It's another club that I'm in, but it's truly a commitment that you're making, and it's a lifelong like skill builder. Everything that you do in Girl Scouts is something that will not go away in a day or a week or a month. It's something that's lifelong.
So one of the differences we have here is Samantha's mom is a troop leader, and Elena has a troop leader who's not her mom. So let's talk a little bit about how that is different. Samantha, do you ever feel like there's too much togetherness in the whole mother-daughter thing? She's not listening. It's okay.
No.
She'll never know.
Most people would think that, but I think that because of Girl Scouts, and it's not just, opportunities, it's not just experiences that you get annoyed with being with other people, but it's something that everything that you do is really team building, like you were saying earlier, building those teamwork skills. But being able to do it with my family, my dad also helps out with like the cookie sale and everything, but having my sister apart, my best friends, my mom, like it's a whole thing that it just builds those core relationships even stronger than it would without having Girl Scouts in our lives.
So, Elena, let's look at it, the other side that you, with Kathy Post, have kind of gotten a second mom to turn to. So let's talk a little bit about that.
I think it's a little different with me because my mom is a huge part of our Girl Scout troop as well. But Miss Kathy is like my second mom. She's taught us many things, so I would call her my mom too. But a lot of other girls, their mom just drops them off, and then like that would be, Miss Kathy would be like their like go-to person. But I like
you got them both.
I've got them both, and I'm very grateful for having two people there, and my mom and me have a huge connection because of that.
Yeah.
And
the other thing that I was thinking about is something else that has changed over the last 10 years and 20 years is bullying and cyberbullying, and the acceptance of other people as a group. And you all have grown up in an age where you always had cell phones and you always had computer access and you've always had some type of social network. But I know part of Girl Scouts is you learn how to deal with those things in an ethical and fair way. And
yes, so this is something that's big with my Girl Scout experience. So there's 3 biggest awards that you can earn at different levels of Girl Scouts. So there's the Bronze Award, the Silver
Slow
Award.
down just a little bit,
Sorry.
because it's good stuff, but you're talking too fast.
So there's the Bronze Award, the Silver Award, and the Gold Award. So there are different summit pins that you can get along the way. And for my Silver Award, my troop and I, we just did a whole video public service announcement about anti-bullying.
You did?
Yeah, so covering cyberbullying to bullying in school and how to prevent it. And having Girl Scouts as an outlet to be able to voice that was huge. So we've grown up, like you said, in an age where this is something that is a crucial part of our lives. So being able to see that as an issue, Girl Scouts teaching us how to voice that issue out to the community and spreading that online was huge for us.
Well, the other thing about your scouting troop is, even though leadership and confidence are 2 of the skills that you build on, not everybody has that same mix of leadership and confidence. And so there's always going to be that shy one that is in your troop that you learn to be accepting of and learn how to go back into your larger environment at the school and kind of see that everybody has a different role to play, and not all of you are the same, but you're all great and you can carry that message forward. Elena, have you all done community service things of that nature with the PSA, or have you talked about the bullying and cyberbullying?
I think a big part of our troop is we don't have a whole badge about bullying, but I know girls in my troop that go through that, and that's kind of their safe place. One thing you can learn about Girl Scouts is your troop is going to become your family, and it's going to become a place for you to go when you are in desperate need of help or attention.
Well, then the other thing that happens when you're 15 or 16 is sometimes you're embarrassed to talk to your parents about stuff, or just don't feel comfortable talking to them about it. And to be able to have this, you know, Elena, exactly what you said, this group where it's your safe place where you can go to, and if you have a question and you don't want to ask your mom and dad, you can have that question answered. Or if you just want to talk about something you saw at school or something you saw at soccer, that you want to get feedback on, and not necessarily involve your parents, you can. Now, so here, this is a kind of a delicate question. Do either of you get any negative feedback about being a Girl Scout?
So I think yes. I think that there is a stigma, especially as we've grown up. A lot of girls do stop at a young age because, like you said, with the girls that
the other activities,
other activities. But I found that as I've been a Girl Scout for 10 years and I truly know everything about the program, it is nothing to be ashamed of. People will say, oh, you're a Girl Scout, like what, you sell cookies, you do crafts. Like that's really not what it is. And I think that this is a huge thing, telling people what is Girl Scouts, because there's like this film of what it's been in the past, and it's evolved so much over the years. Like I said, with STEAM and outdoor activities, it's not just this quote-unquote girly thing that people do. It's truly a huge life-building program that shows you who you are and shows you your passions.
Elena, what do you think?
A lot of people, when they ask me if I'm in Girl Scouts, the first thing I say is yes, and then they're like, so you sell cookies and you go camping? And I'm like, it's way more than that. I mean, yes, we do those things, but we also learn things in life that will take us further. And although you have this negative thought, maybe try it out for yourself, because I know today a lot of people will not do things that they want to do. They'll do things that society wants them to do. So Girl Scouts is a big, like, stepping out of your comfort zone kind of thing.
And that's important to realize. Now, Kristin, I know that you have some important dates that are coming up. And
Yes,
we're gonna
glad you asked.
we're gonna do a little bit of recruiting for the Girl Scouts. So let's talk about, kids can start, if there's a troop, they can start a troop, but they can start by kindergarten. So whether you find a troop that's already there or there's a troop that you need to put together, you can get all the information you need from the Girl Scouts, and that's part of what Kristin does.
Yes. So our event is on April 5th, and it's at the Botanical Gardens of Port St. Lucie, and there's information on our Girl Scout website, or Girl Scouts of Southeast Florida, and we're asking that people do let us know that they're coming. So it's a no-cost event, and there's an opportunity for girls to kind of see what a day in the life of Girl Scouts might be. And then there are fun activities. The gardens are open, so on a Sunday afternoon, girls could come with their family and walk around the gardens. There will be things for girls to try and test out, some science-related activities, some planting of seeds to take home and watch that seed grow in to a full-fledged plant.
And so I know your comparison there would be as the seed grows, your girl grows too.
Yes.
Definitely.
Right.
I love that.
Right. Yes.
Like
The metaphor. Yes.
Scout
Yes.
metaphor. Yeah, and so it'll be a day where girls can kind of test it out. And right now our focus is on helping girls who are actually in pre-K join. So we call it a daisy launch, so that girls in pre-K can join now, and we get them into a troop, so come fall when they're kindergartners, they can be ready to roll. And so either in the span of life of the Girl Scout year, I guess, we're either putting girls in existing troops or helping girls start a new troop, and in that is the leader piece. So we are also getting really excited about helping new leaders come on board as well. And almost always it's a parent or a caregiver of some nature relationship of the girl, and we help them come on board too. So it's the same kind of thing. And for some of those caregivers, they haven't been Girl Scouts themselves, and it doesn't matter. So the connection is still there. The exciting thing about starting a new troop is that those families get to be part of what that girl's experience is like.
And you give them guidance. I mean, you don't
Yes,
just say,
and
okay, you're
training.
starting a new troop, here you
Good
go.
luck. No,
There's
we don't.
10 little girls. You got it, babe.
Lots of training and lots of support. So part of my job is to do that as well in different aspects of a troop life. There's training on how to get their bank account started, what to do at the first meeting. There are all kinds of online resources. There's opportunities to do in-person training. So it's pretty structured in terms of how a new leader could come on board. So it's exciting to watch that as well. And then the special experience, and I think the bonding that does happen between adults, intergenerational really, adults and young girls working together on things that around the common ground or the common bond. So I always appreciate when, in spite of lots of people's differences, that there's so many things that you can come together on that you all enjoy doing. To drive sort of to that common piece is exciting.
Can girls join Girl Scouts at any age?
Yes, so kindergarten, well now pre-K through senior year in high school, and then a girl could become an alumni member. You could become a lifetime member, so I'm a lifetime member. And kind of once a Girl Scout,
Always
a Girl Scout.
Heard that before.
Yes.
So from the actual experts right
Even
here.
if you left when you were a brownie, you're always
Yes.
going to be a Girl Scout.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes, and you should always put that on your resume then.
Still
Yes.
on my resume.
So, Samantha and Elena, do you have, even at the high school level, do you have new girls that ask you about joining, about being a part of it?
Yes, absolutely. I know that, I'm sure that this is the same for Elena as well, because having friends that might not be in Girl Scouts, and when we educate people on it to tell them what Girl Scouts really is, it's kind of eye-opening. They're like, oh, well, that actually sounds pretty cool. Maybe I could join. And, you get them, let them know about the website, gsscf.org, and where they have recruitment events like Spring Into Girl Scouts and things like that, that girls can join at any age. It doesn't have to be something that you only start at 5 years
So
old.
even though both of you started at 5, you could start at any time. You
Exactly.
could be a part of it. So if a parent knows and their child is entering kindergarten or they're in elementary school and they want to figure out if that school has a troop or that area has a troop, how do they find that information out?
Call me and or start with the Girl Scout headquarters in Lake Worth for sure. But what happens is any sort of general interest definitely comes to an actual person who can. So I have conversations all the time with families about how what is your girl interested in, what kinds of other things is she doing. So finding a troop that meets at a time that's convenient, which can be hard to do sometimes. And then always a great opportunity to say, well, why don't let me help you start your own troop, and then you can have lots of opportunity in conversation with your girl of when do you want to meet and where do you want to meet. So the main thing is if anyone could start today, they would go through the website or call our office.
Is there any listing on the website that shows where the different troops are located?
There is. We call it a catalog. It's an online catalog. So once a parent would put a little bit of information in about their girl, and it's minimal, zip code, grade and school, and her name, it then takes to the next page which says based on your zip code, and we don't look much further than 20 miles.
Mhm.
So I usually start with 0 miles. So what's right next door in your school. And more girl troops are mixed. So back in the day, or my day, it was your school met at your troop met at your school. And so I think that's a real benefit that girls meet each other from different schools.
Mhm.
So one of our goals is that all of the schools in each district would have a troop meeting there. So we have great partnerships. We work with principals, and quite often teachers can be the very next troop leaders. So we rely heavily on them allowing us to talk with parents and have access. But that catalog shows based within your zip code of where the troops might meet, how often they meet. Sometimes there will be a little blurb that talks about what that troop focuses on. But we're also careful not to say, well, this is a camping troop, or this is a craft troop, or this is a science troop, because it's really up to the girls. So every time new girls join, you get to have that conversation again of, well, what do we want to do? And the adults help craft those conversations more so
Exactly.
in the younger troops. But
Yeah,
you
no,
get
I
to
know.
do that now?
Yeah,
Exactly, yeah, I've-
especially in
go
my
ahead.
troop.
How does that work?
We have a mix of girls, so everyone has their different types of things they're interested in. So we try to combine everyone else's input. Sometimes it can be hard, but we get through it.
Yes, that's the same with my troop too. I know that, everybody has their similarities and differences, but everybody's open to trying new things. So there might be a patch that I'm really interested in, or a patch that my other troop members are also interested in, and we'll come together, pick things, and keep going on. It's pretty awesome.
And keep moving on. So, Kristin, just to go over again, so kids who are in pre-K now, but they're in the spring of, or is this still winter? No, it's spring, right? March is spring.
It's hard to tell in Florida.
Yeah.
Recently, it's been cold.
Yeah. Wait till it's hot, and then you're going to be wishing for cold again. So if they're at the tail end of the pre-K year, that's about the time you can start looking for a troop. And then kindergarten, they're called daisies.
Yes.
And they're daisies all year.
Yes, for 2 years.
Yeah,
So
for
Right, for
kindergarten,
2
first
years.
grade.
And then they have a bridge, right?
Yes, they
I
bridge
love
Special
those.
ceremony.
Yeah, special
Yeah.
ceremonies after when you go to each level.
Okay, so we just have a couple more minutes. So after 2 years, you bridge up to brownies,
And that's second and third grade.
and that's second and third grade. And then at what point do you bridge up to Girl Scouts?
So there's no exact level called Girl Scouts, but after brownies,
Everything's Girl
everything
Yes.
is Girl Scouts. Everybody's a Girl
Okay,
Scout.
yeah.
But after brownies, you bridge for 4th and 5th grade to juniors.
Right.
And
it's
then
the juniors.
Yes, and then after that, for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, you are a cadet. And then after that, you become a senior Girl Scout for 9th and 10th grade, and then an ambassador for 11th and 12th.
Does your uniform change?
Yes.
Well, obviously you grow. So.
Yes. Yes. So daisies wear their blue vests, and they have their flower patches, and then brownies are brown, and
Yes.
then juniors have their green vests, kind of teal, turquoise, and then after that it's this color.
Yeah.
But you do change it for when you fill up with patches and bridge the next level.
Yeah, so that's great. Well, we've been lucky enough to have two. So you guys are. So which level are you at?
Seniors.
So you're senior.
I'm
You are a senior
almost
Girl
ambassador,
Scout.
yes.
Okay, and Elena and Samantha have been here. Samantha is from Palm Beach County, from the Lake Worth area, and Elena is a Lincoln Park Academy student who lives in St. Lucie County. And joining them too was Kristin Skarie, and she is with the Girl Scouts of Southeast Florida. We've been learning about the Girl Scouts of Advantage. You can look this up on YouTube. Check back with us. Thanks for listening to the show. Thank you all for being here. This was a
for
lot of
having
fun.
us.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't bring me any cookies.
I have some in my
that's
trunk if
okay.
you want some.
Thanks for listening. Have a great week. We'll see you next time with more